I'm joined by Minister for Regional Development, Local Government and Territories, Kristy McBain. Minister, thanks for your time. First of all, Angus Taylor in question time, bit of a mess up in terms of his numbers. What's your take on it? Do you cut him some slack that, people make mistakes in this place?
I think as the alternate Treasurer of Australia, if you're going to be serious about the job you're in, then you'd want to get your figures right, number one. Number two, he made such a big deal about an unemployment rate and an interest rate during the election campaign, and he's just come out and done the same thing. And number three, I don't think the manufacturers of Vegemite, for example, are going to be ultimately very happy with not only his initial stumble, but also doubling down on it later in question time and then in the MPI. So I think that, for a person who wants to be taken seriously in his job as the alternate Treasurer of Australia, he really needs to have a good hard look and get his facts and figures right.
And you believe that is a position more vulnerable because of the attacks on the former opposition leader, now Prime Minister, during the election campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw the Liberal Party coming after the now Prime Minister very hard during the election campaign for misspeaking during a press conference. I think it was day 2 of the election campaign. And now he's done that in Parliament, but doubled down on it and done it twice within a matter of, minutes in the question time, because he then stood up and said, relevant. You're being too relevant to the question and you're talking about too many figures, and I'd like to bring you back to something else. And then again in the MPI. So I think it's a big mistake by the Shadow Treasurer there.
Building approvals out today, and they're back to where they were around a decade ago. Pretty poor result. Does the government have to own this, given you've been in office now for over a year?
Look, I think that there are a number of factors at play here. Obviously, the move to an online DA system in New South Wales has created a big backlog in the system. We know right across the country we have a shortage in town planners, in councils in every state and territory. In a place like South Australia, there is no tertiary course for town planners any longer, which is going to create a huge problem in our pipeline. But what we have seen is the Liberals, the Nationals and the Greens playing politics over housing policy at a time where we actually want to put investment into the housing sector. They're saying no, and they're not prepared to work with us at a time where we know there is a genuine housing crisis across the country.
Do you accept, though, that the Housing Future Fund is barely a band-aid when you look at the shortfall we face right now and the housing crisis?
It's one element of our housing policy. We've put significantly more money into the Housing Infrastructure Fund. We've released more dollars out of it than there has been in some time. We've grown our regional first home buyers scheme by expanding the eligibility criteria. We've helped 50,000 people across the country into homes, over 6,000 of those in regional Australia. That's only one aspect of our housing policy, but at a time when we know the 3 levels of government need to be working together, we've got the Liberals, the Nationals and the Greens party playing politics over a significant investment, one of the largest in the last decade.
Mark McGowan gone this week. They're trying to work out who replaces him, as we heard from our colleague Danica in WA. But this potentially has a flow-on effect for your colleagues in WA that have won seats off the back of the McGowan tide. Is that a risk for some of those members in WA heading into the next election?
I think Mark McGowan's leadership during the COVID period for WA was quite significant. And what it did was open the door to a whole bunch of voters in electorates that might not traditionally vote Labor. But now they've seen the work that Labor can do when they're in government, and what they're seeing from my colleagues in the House of Representatives, some who probably never expected to win seats, people like Sam Lim, Tanya Lawrence, they are amazingly hard-working members of Parliament.
As a local member that's put a bit of meat into your margin, a bit of fat into the margin. Do you think that those MPs now have got that foothold in WA?
I think
Is that
now,
your sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think now they're in place, people are seeing what a difference that Labor makes on the ground to everyday people. And as I said, they've got some exceptionally hardworking members right now.
Kristy McBain, Minister for Regional Development, thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.